Negging does not work, and if you give me a couple minutes, I can prove it to you. Much like dating apps, dating coaches are very effective at taking your money. They tend to sell advice that is very gimmicky, or it tells men what they want to hear. There's one simple trick that will get all the women to fawn over them. Misogynistic dating coaches have the additional drawback of teaching men very toxic, self-centered, egotistical, and downright manipulative and abusive behaviors, pushing an ideology that leads to more isolation, loneliness. Of course, they push this idea that real men should be sleeping with all these women, and that ultimately make healthy, happy relationships impossible. Being dedicated to one woman is simp behavior. It means that you're a failure, and real men cheat. It certainly isn't a way to find much emotional fulfillment, and treating women like crap is actually something to be proud of. I truly don't understand why anyone would want to live like this. And people are broken in horrible ways, and they repeat the abusive behavior that they have either been subjected to or witnessed growing up. But to willingly choose to be like this is a unique kind of evil. To make money off of convincing people to do this is downright deranged. So I ask you, do you really want to be a manipulative bully to the people you sleep with or the people you potentially might have a relationship with for the rest of your life? Because once you start thinking this way, and once you start acting this way, it ends up being very habitual. And truth be told, it's generally not very effective anyway. Women don't like men that mistreat them, that make them feel unsafe, that are cruel to them. Especially if you try these tactics on a lot of women, you might eventually get them to work. You will probably meet up with people who are victims of abuse, who are more prone to these manipulation tactics. It's going to be very hard to have a healthy relationship with them, especially when you're just repeating this abuse. But I ask you, is that really what you want? And I think everyone should consider that when looking into these things. Ask these men, do they have healthy relationships with women? When they talk about women, do they talk about all the amazing, wonderful women? They talk about sex in ways where it really sounds like they're enjoying themselves, or are they having sex as a status symbol? Do they treat women as people and partners and valued friends and lovers, or do they treat them as trophies to show off to other men? Is that really what you want to be? Is that really what you want to live for? Impressing other men? Men you don't even know? It's incredibly pathetic to anyone who really stops and thinks about it for a second. These men do not impress most men, and most women see right through them. Now, some of them might be very good at manipulating people, but they're probably not going to teach you those skills. They're going to teach you the things that might sound good the way they sell it, but don't actually work in practice. And negging is one of those things, and I'll explain why it doesn't work on women. I think one of the mistakes we all make is that we assume people are coming from the same mindset and values and, I guess, frame, perhaps, that we are. And men do have sex as a way to increase their self-worth. It's something that's very validating for them. It's something they're praised for. But the fact is, the opposite is true of women. Women are not likely to sleep with someone who makes them feel unsafe, who makes them feel ashamed or insecure about their body. If you make a woman feel that way, she's not going to want to take her clothes off, and she's definitely not going to want to sleep with you. And I don't know, maybe this will work for men, because men do have sex to feel better about themselves. That is something that is very common with men who cheat. Especially if you're either familiar with patriarchy and misogyny, or you're familiar with red pill content, you know that women are shamed for having sex. So why would women have sex to increase their confidence or to feel better about themselves when, especially with someone who is going to neg them? That's going to have the opposite effect. Their first reaction isn't, oh, well, I better have sex with this man so it improves his opinion of me. No, why would they do that? Why would they care about your opinion? They're just going to think you're a jerk. This might work if you actually know the person more in depth. I don't know. I still wouldn't do it because, again, is this the person you want to be? Do you want to be a bully? And the thing about compliments is women compliment each other all the time. And it's not creepy. It's often very validating. And because men don't compliment each other, men see the compliments they give women when they're hitting on them as being a lot more valuable than they actually are. So it does take a lot of confidence and even some bravery to go up to a stranger and tell them that you think they're beautiful and ask for their number. But at the same time, you really can't treat the world like your singles bar, and you shouldn't just assume that people are going to be receptive to whatever you're saying, or even polite. I mean, they might just want to be left alone, and that's fine. You don't know what's going on with the person that you're talking to. You don't know what's on their mind. You don't know what's going on in their life. This might be the last thing that they want to deal with. But just giving them a compliment doesn't mean they owe you anything. And people, yes, they should be polite, but some people aren't going to be. And that's just the way of the world. The best we can do is try to be polite ourselves and not be like them. Most women are well aware that as soon as we say no, suddenly that compliment is going to become an insult. So that's another reason women don't take compliments all that seriously. We're used to being lied to by men that are trying to sleep with us. And we're used to being insulted. As soon as a man finds out that he doesn't have a chance to sleep with us, he'll get angry, he'll insult us. And we're always stuck between, we can either be frigid and cold and make ourselves clear, or we can be polite but risk leading him on. And the safest bet is generally to be a bit cold, because that way you don't risk hurting him more, leading him on, getting a stalker. But I'd invite you, if you do watch the content of really any creators that talk about dating and women, are they in a happy, healthy relationship? And if so, how do you know that? Does their partner talk about their relationship? Do you see their partner? How do they interact? I mean, people talk about Morticia and Gomez, but you have to be the Gomez if you want your Morticia. And Gomez treats his wife with respect. He is very romantic and does lots of grand gestures to show how amazing he thinks she is. I don't understand why it's become popular to treat your partner, to treat women in general, like garbage. I mean, I do understand why it is. There is a greater narrative at play, obviously. So that's my thoughts on negging. I've never seen it work. It might work every once in a while, but it's generally not a good tactic. It's not the kind of thing that an emotionally mature person who would make a good partner and is psychologically healthy would do. Manipulation is not acceptable. And yes, I will fully admit, I do insult, I mock, I tease certain people, certain ideas, certain behaviors on this channel. I generally don't go after specific people unless they are people who are pushing very toxic ideas, unless they are bullies or powerful people themselves. And I think that's the difference. Mocking people in power, calling out bullies for the insecure, broken people they are, is a different thing entirely. It's one of the most effective tools against things like fascism, because fascism is a cult of strength. They cannot tolerate being humiliated. They cannot tolerate being mocked, because they see themselves as these untouchable, bombastic, perfect people. And mockery is very effective at shutting them down. But I do my best not to mock men who are victimized by this content. I am critical of the behavior that this content causes, and rightly so. Just because you're bullied or abused doesn't mean that you can repeat that behavior, especially against people who have nothing to do with how you were hurt. So that's my thought on negging. Just a reminder that women don't have sex because it increases our self-esteem. So no, negging is not effective, especially not on the type of women you generally want to date. Women do not sleep with men who insult them in order to increase their opinion of them. When people insult me, I don't swoon over them. I don't care what they think, because I know they're wrong about me generally. I know they paint it as being sly, but I promise you most women are going to see right through this. And just because women rarely call this out doesn't mean that we don't see it. It's just often more safe to pretend like we don't see it. That doesn't mean that we're oblivious, though, I promise you. Women know what's up.